everyone, thank you for joining me for this tutorial. I'm going to show you how to paint this ocean scene step by step with oil paints. Seascapes are one of my favourite subjects to paint with oils because oils stay wet for so long. You can spend as much time as you want blending the waves and ripples in the water. This allows you to create soft edges which gives the water a realistic look. So first I'm going to show you how I mixed all the colours, and then I'm going to show you step by step how I painted it. You can use any materials or colours you like, but if you're just getting started with oil painting and you want to know some more about some of the materials you might need, I've listed the ones that I've used in the description so you know roughly what you need to get. On my palette I have ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, lemon yellow, titanium white and burnt umber. The first thing I'm going to do is mix the sky colours. To create a realistic sky gradient, you'll notice that skies are always lighter towards the horizon. So I'm mixing this deep ultramarine blue and a tiny bit of burnt umber to neutralise the mix slightly. This colour will go at the very top of the canvas. Then I'm gradually adding more white to brighten the mix. I'm mixing lots of transitional shades between the lightest and darkest colour to create a smoother gradient when I come to blend. Next I'm going to mix my sea colours. The colour of the sea and the horizon leans more towards green than the colour of the sky, so I'm going to use my phthalo blue, which is a primary blue, mix with burnt umber to neutralise it, lemon yellow and a touch of white. I'm adding white to this shade for the distant sea colours closer to the breaking wave. The top of the breaking wave lets lots of light through. This is the brightest and most saturated part of the painting. This colour is green in tone, so I'm going to mix 2 parts cyan blue, 1 part lemon yellow and white. This makes a really pure high chroma mix. So I'm going to mix the colours of the section beneath the wave where the water is a light greeny brown because of the colour of the sand beneath. So this mix is lemon yellow with a larger proportion of burnt umber, blue and white, and then the sand is quite a bit more burnt umber with a touch of ultramarine to neutralise it and white. I'm not being super precise with the proportions, but you can kind of just feel it out and you'll see when the colour looks right. I'm going to mix the foam and highlight colours as I go along, but essentially they're a high proportion of titanium white, and take a tiny hint of either one of your green or blue mixes to tint it. Hardly any colours appear as pure white in real life settings, which is why they should be tinted with one of the other colours in your palette to make a really harmonious light shade. I'd already planned the composition with a thumbnail sketch before I started the painting, but it's useful to get a pencil and map out roughly where the different elements are going to be on the surface too. The composition of this painting is really simple. I'm using a 9x12 inch panel in portrait mode, and the top 2/3 of my painting is going to be the sky, and then the bottom third is going to be the ocean. If you want, you can get a ruler and draw out where the horizon line is going to be. So now I'm going to paint the sky gradient, so I want to make it look really smooth, so I've got all my transitional shades. I'm starting with the darkest colour at the top and then painting section by section until I finish with the lightest colour at the bottom. I'm using a medium filbert brush. This one's fairly stiff, so it's great for working in the thicker oil paint and covering large sections. You can use any brush you like. I find that flat or filbert brushes tend to work best. And if you want, you can make the paint more fluid and add a little medium. Linseed oil works really well, or you could thin the linseed oil with some solvent to make it dry quicker. If you want a clean straight line for the horizon, you could put a strip of masking tape down. For blending the sky, you'll need a clean soft brush. So I'm using a goat mop brush, and the hairs are super soft and it's pretty much made for blending. As you go, wipe the brush on a paper towel to remove any residue so that the darkest colours don't mix into the lightest colours. Then next I need to line the ocean horizon, so it's just the same principle as what we did for the sky. So you can use the edge of a flat brush, masking tape, or something like what I've got, which is the Egbert brush. The sea in this image is darkest closest to the horizon, so I'm going in with my lighter shades and toggling the brightness. The sea is also much more greeny blue than the sky, which leans more towards purple. The colours of the sea and sky aren't too different in tone, but the slight shift in hue creates a realistic impression. The top of the breaking wave is dark in colour because this is where the tip of the wave is curling over. So I'm going to mix some of the horizon sea colour and a tiny bit of the lighter shade of the distant sea colour to make a new mix. I'm drawing the wave in quite a rough organic way, and the shape of it doesn't have to be perfect. The shape has small peaks and dips, and I'll add some foam to the top of this when I come to paint the details later, but for now I'm just going to block in the rough shapes and colours. Just beneath where the wave is curling at the top is where the water is letting the most light through. So for this we're going to use our most saturated green-blue colour. Then here I jump straight into painting the sand, so that I have an outline that I can fill in with the bottom section of the watercolour. The section of water closest to the sand is more brown and yellow in tone. I'm making lots of adjustments to the colours and values. For example, there are sections of the wave that are lighter and more saturated in appearance. Then there are ripples along the wave that look darker. I'll put an image of the finished piece on the blog, the link will be in the description, so you can look at the patterns in the water if you need to. This variation in colour and tone is what gives the illusion of realism. So the last pot of call is the details. I find this bit really fun, and you can spend as much or as little time on it as you want. I've got my detail brush, which is a sable rigger. This brush is great because it holds lots of the paint in the bristles, and it also absorbs any unwanted movements from the hand, so it makes the details look much more accurate. I'm painting on the foam at the bottom with an off-white colour, so this isn't pure titanium white. It's been mixed with the tiniest bit of the sky blue colour, which looks more realistic in value, but also provides contrast against the greenish brown of the water here. I'm using this colour for the spray on the top of the waves too. Then I'm using the same rigger brush to detail distant waves with a colour that I've mixed from the palette, which consists of the sky blue and some of the lighter saturated colour from the wave. I've added in a few foam details that I've blended out with a colour close to but lighter than the water at the bottom. I'm also detailing some ripples at the top of the wave in the same colour as the waves in the distance. The paint is still wet, so all the colours are blending into one another, which gives it that nice soft appearance. All we have left to do is detail some of the foam in this front section of water near the sand. For that I mix white with the sandy watercolour with a touch of some of the leftover sky blue. Broadly, the lines of foam at the bottom make crisscross patterns, but they're quite organic in shape, so I'm using the rigger brush to create these organic looking lines and varying the pressure I apply to the brush. This is looking finished now, but you can continue working on it and making adjustments as you see fit. There's also a written tutorial of this on the website, so check it out if you want to. I'll put a link to that in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, then I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a like, and if there are any other tutorials that you want to see, let me know in the comments.